Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Success Unscripted. Today, I'm going to be talking about how to turn one workshop into a repeatable, high converting machine without rewriting it from scratch every single month or without always building a new funnel. And so, part of what I have been doing over the last few months is really bringing it back to simple. If you're anything like me or some of the clients I work with, you probably have a lot of different ideas going on, different things going on, and you want it to be easy, right? We want to make it easy for ourselves and easy for our people. And I tend to overcomplicate things, but what I have found that is working and does work really well for some of my clients, and now I'm implementing for myself, is turning one workshop into a repeatable, high converting machine. We're not having to come up with something new all of the time. A new workshop every month, a new training every launch, a new funnel every quarter, right? That can be exhausting. And so instead of having this wheel of constant reinvention, we're talking about more repetition. And I know you've heard me talk about this over the last few episodes, but I want to dive a little bit deeper into this one workshop idea. Saying the same thing over and over and over again sometimes can feel boring, right? I have people like, I'm getting bored with this, but your audience isn't. And so, really, on the other side, you're building authority, you're building credibility, you're building expertise, and the sales will follow. And so many entrepreneurs get stuck in this content hamster wheel mold, right? Because they are creating new workshops every month. They're creating new slides, new funnels, new offer tweaks. And while they still might have an assistant doing a lot of the ins and outs for them, you're still having to create, right? And constantly creating can lead to burning out or things not working because you're in build mode. So you never actually get really good at delivering the thing, and your message doesn't always feel consistent, or maybe selling from that workshop can be hard because it's a different workshop. There's a different training to it. There's different people, right? Like it doesn't ever feel predictable. But when we can get really good with one workshop, it can turn into that high converting machine because we get really good at delivering it. The message becomes very consistent and clear, and the sales start becoming predictable. And so this doesn't mean that all of the content that you have surrounding this workshop, the core content that you're putting out each week to your people, the newsletters, the stories you're telling, right? It doesn't mean those are all the same, right? We can come from different angles, but all roads lead to your core offer. And this training that you're doing is kind of that prerequisite of coming into your larger core offer. The big idea here is that you don't need something new every month. You just need one really powerful, repeatable workshop that becomes your signature. And so when I think about lead magnets and building an audience, I think you should always have one free download resource running in the background, right? So you're collecting leads every day. That static thing that can just be out there, that can be building your list, right? Bringing in new audience. And then this workshop is something that you do every single month because you're bringing new people onto your list. Now you're bringing them into the world of seeing you and experiencing what it's like to actually work with you. And so having a live element, a live workshop, even if you want to do it on demand workshop because you don't like doing it live, I think that's okay too. There's pros and cons to each, right? Not everybody likes to show up live on screen. It's just not their personality. And so doing an on-demand workshop feels more comfortable. And that's okay too. There's strategies to both, and both can work really, really well. I have seen it happen. But the element of you talking on screen, talking on camera, just like I'm doing now, people get to see you and experience you. They get to hear you. They can feel that connection and build that trust, right? And so again, don't need a new workshop every month. We need one powerful, really repeatable workshop that becomes your signature. This builds that trust and credibility that we've been talking about. So we have your free resource in the background that's always running. This is bringing new people onto your list. You could even have a low ticket offer, or maybe this workshop is a low ticket offer. It doesn't have to be a free workshop. This can be a low ticket, because what you're doing here is really qualifying buyers and seeing who is the right fit to come into your core offer, because the end goal is always bringing people into that core offer, whether it's a community, a group program, or high ticket one-on-one, right? And so having the same core workshop every month, but different entry points, allows you to use fresh stories or different angles each time, but you're still leading to that workshop. I think every time then that you run this workshop, the delivery feels a lot smoother, more consistent. Different people are showing up. You're figuring out what are the main questions that people are asking? Where are the commonalities? What do they really want to know? What keeps coming up over and over and over again? Because then maybe that's something you need to tweak in the workshop. Maybe that's something you need to add in. Or maybe that's something that comes in the follow-up that is this underlying objection that is keeping people from saying no, that you just haven't covered it yet. So you really are learning every time you do this workshop. You're learning what's not working, what's working, where can I tighten and strengthen this even more to make sure those sales are predictable and more sales are coming in. So if you listen to my last episode, we talked about the message, the path, and the proof. And so doing this time and time again helps kind of really strengthen the message, really strengthen the path, and gives you more social proof. Okay, so each time you run it, it gets sharper, smoother, you become more confident. It feels easy to make the ask at the end throughout the workshop. The follow-up feels seamless, right? You get to know it and understand it, and you become a lot more comfortable. And when your audience hears your message multiple times, they start to believe it's what you're known for. And that's ultimately what you want. So we work back when we're thinking, what kind of workshop should I do? How can I do the same workshop every month without it becoming boring? And when I think of it as something like, what's the main overarching problem that people are having? How is an easy way that I can help them solve it and provide tons and tons of value from it? And so a lot of times what I'm doing, and I am the first to admit I have been really bad about showing up live, but for my clients, I'm seeing it's working. And so I am starting to build this back into my process. For a long time, I didn't believe in live workshops because I felt like people just either I would sign up and not show up and never watch the replay, or I would sign up and I wouldn't get what I thought I wanted. So I took that experience and created something completely different. And so I challenge you to do the same. What do you love about workshops that you've gone to? What do you hate about workshops that you've gone to? How can you make yours really unique and special and something that you're not going to get bored, right? What's that big overall goal? What do you want to be known for in the long term? And do that right now. You don't have to wait. Even for me, it can be a copy Q&A, right? I'm showing up live teaching something that is new and important or something that people want to know. I can teach on a hot topic and then I do live Q&As. So people can bring their website copy, they can bring their emails, they can bring their sales page. That is a problem that people always have in how I can help them. And so the workshop can happen time and time again because people are showing up live and experiencing how I do coaching, how I help them refine their message, make it stronger, refine the offer, put the whole strategy together. Repetition, again, it creates that authority. It helps you feel more comfortable and confident. And then it also just gives you the data, right? You learn where people are dropping off, you refine your follow-up process, and you discover what questions are stopping people from saying yes. And so going back to what type of workshop should I create? It's about solving one specific problem your audience keeps bumping into, the problem that naturally leads them into your paid offer. So think of it like a signature dish at a restaurant, right? People come back for it again and again. And even if you swap out the sides or add a seasonal garnish, the main thing stays the same. And so your workshop should be clear and specific, solving one urgent problem your ideal client is actively looking for help with. So the main overarching thing is that one problem, right? We don't want to add in all these things and confuse people. It's one urgent problem your ideal client is actively looking for help for. It's directly connected to your offer. So when they say yes to your workshop, the next logical step is saying yes to your program. And that it's flexible in delivery. The core slides and flow will stay the same, but you can keep it feeling really fresh with new stories, examples, analogies, right? That way, every time you run it, you're giving your audience the same powerful transformation, but you can wrap it in a slightly different story. It's familiar, it's repeatable, and it never gets boring because you can always bring these new elements into it. And as I mentioned before, you're collecting data. So all of the data you're collecting, you just keep making it better, right? And so here's just a mini, I think 3 questions you can ask yourself if you're trying to decide what kind of workshop you can run again and again. I think the first one is, what's worked in the past, right? Have you had any super successful webinars or workshops that you can go back to and tweak it and make it your signature workshop that leads to your signature offer? And then 3 other important questions are, what's the number one problem my ideal client is Googling right now? Or what are they asking ChatGPT, right? I don't know if everyone uses Google still, but I do. So I think pick something specific and urgent that they already know they need solved. Instead of, grow your business, it's how to get more clients without posting every day. What problem naturally leads to your core offer? So that's question number 2 to ask yourself. What problem naturally leads to my core offer? This is the first step towards your high ticket offer. If your program helps people lose weight long term, your workshop might be 3 keys to stop emotional eating tonight. I don't know. That was just an example ChatGPT came up with. But I think it's important to really understand what type of problem naturally leads to your core offer. And then what could you talk about in your sleep? Create something you're already confident in delivering. That way you're not trying to learn something new. You're just going to keep refining it and making it better and better and better. But the first time you show up, it is already strong because you are confident and you know what you're doing. If it excites you, you will never get bored teaching it, even if you repeat it over and over again. So pick something that you genuinely love to talk about, of course, as long as it aligns with your offer. So going back to that restaurant example, think of this workshop as your signature disc. The recipe stays the same, but each time you make it, you can add a new garnish, a fresh story, a timely example, a different angle. The core doesn't change, but it feels really alive every time you serve it. So just to wrap it up a little bit, this works because we bring in that buyer psychology. Like I told you before, people don't always buy the first time. Sometimes it takes 2 times or 3 times or 5 times, right? Once they see repetition and they're really getting to understand the messaging, and every time you do it, you're getting even more clear, it's going to click. We're learning your audience. And once we get that really dialed in, that's when it can become your high converting machine. Authority building, the more consistently you share the same message, the more you become the person for that problem. Again, you can still have new stories, new angles, which I definitely think you should have, right? Examples, client wins, right? You're always building this stuff into it, but it's still the same core overarching message. And efficiency saves us time, and time is money. Instead of building from scratch every time, you pour your energy into refining the one system that works or has the power to work. So yes, it might not work the first time. It might totally flop the first time, but that's okay. You're learning. Was it your audience? Was it your message? Was it the path, right? Look at all of those things and just refine and try it again. People aren't going to get bored because there's so much going on that maybe they didn't even hear you say it the first time. Maybe they didn't even see it. Maybe they missed it. I actually had someone I was on a call with the other day that's like, oh, I'm coming to your workshop tomorrow. And I'm like, it was last week, right? And she's like, oh, I missed it. So that gives me a cue like, oh, I need to offer that again next month, right? Not everybody could make it that first time. So even though they didn't sign up, it wasn't necessarily because they didn't want it. It just might not have been the right timing. So repetition equals consistency, which equals trust. And if you're one of those who always likes to create, you can creating new content, giving new stories, writing emails. But if you also just have this one staple workshop that runs on repeat, that can be your foundation and that can be turned into a high converting system. All right, so we're designing the signature workshop by solving one urgent problem your ideal client has, leading directly to your offer. You can run it on repeat with the same slides, the same structure by just swapping in new stories or fresh examples, offering it monthly or quarterly. I suggest monthly, depending on your schedule. And then each time you offer it, you're refining and optimizing. So track the questions people are asking, track the objections, right? Every question comes in the form of an objection. Tweak that follow-up sequence, the emails, the DMs, the sales page. Where are people falling off? Where are they saying yes? Watch your conversions increase over time as both you and your audience really get sharper and more clear and more confident. Okay, so the framework: design your signature workshop, run it on repeat, and refine and optimize. So if you have been on the hamster wheel of creating new workshops and funnels every month or every quarter, or you throw everything out and start from new, I want you to pause. Just imagine what it would feel like to have one powerful workshop that leads to one powerful offer that works like a well-oiled machine, that gets better every time you run it and gets sales in consistently. That's what I can help you build. So if this is something you want, please go to my website, book a clarity call with me, send me an email, send me a DM on LinkedIn. I am here for you, and I would love to help you get this working in your business. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll catch you on the next episode.